South China Sea, and ships of Australia's combat fleet, headed by the flagship HMAS Melbourne, set course for the Philippines. The RAN carrier is to be flagship for the SEATO exercise Sea Devil, and destination is the United States Navy's big naval base at Subic Bay, north of Manila. A sight to remember as the frigate Queenborough and destroyers Voyager and Vendetta escort their flagship into the waters of Luzon. Final preparations for one of the biggest anti-submarine and naval air defense exercises in Southeast Asia will be made here at Subic Bay. Subic Bay. Final plans for an international exercise, and for the Australian sailors, a final chance to relax before the call to Sea Devil battle stations. Olongapo, outside the naval base, gaudily advertises its attractions. But for these men, it's a sightseeing expedition. American sailors are the guides. The Aussies and Yanks are good buddies, ashore and afloat. Australian sailors are frequent and popular visitors to the ports of Southeast Asia. But this is no tourist trip, and the peaceful scene in Olongapo rapidly changes to dawn in the South China Sea. Operation Sea Devil begins, and the enemy heads out to sea. But from now on, he'll conduct his war from beneath the surface. Above the submarines are the warships of the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Pakistan, Thailand, and the United Kingdom. A common bond of friendship links the diverse navies of SEATO, and this is their 21st maritime exercise to ensure that they could operate smoothly together. The Australian destroyer Vendetta displays her ability to work efficiently with a ship of another navy as she prepares to refuel from a United States tanker. Crews as well as ships have to be kept in fighting trim throughout the exercise. Behind the scenes, men like Petty Officer Bob Duguid of Mordialloc, Victoria, play an important role in keeping a fighting ship at sea. A warship is also a home to the men who live in her. A little cramped, perhaps, but that doesn't stop the sailors from enjoying themselves. They make the most of their rest between tense watches. SEATO observers are watching the exercise from the flagship HMAS Melbourne. A pack of 4 submarines is trying to stop the SEATO convoy from reaching its destination, and this is a challenge for the Australian Navy crews of these gallant anti-submarine aircraft. The catapult boosts them into the sky on their constant sorties. Sea Devil is also testing the ability of the SEATO navies to defend themselves against surface and air attack. This aerial depth charge attack will give the submariners something to think about. Now for the rockets. A proud moment for HMAS Melbourne. As Sea Devil flagship, she leads the international fleet into Manila Bay. Behind Melbourne come the United States and British carriers Bennington and Ark Royal, followed by a column of warships 14 miles long, stretching back over the horizon. Operation, a success. An endorsement of SEATO's collective security. A 21-gun salute to the Philippines, and HMAS Melbourne brings a touch of ceremonial to the arrival in Manila Bay. Then official calls from the senior officers of the participating navies. Some 50 ships, 150 aircraft and 16,000 men took part in Sea Devil, another international exercise providing valuable training for the Royal Australian Navy. Hong Kong, and two brand new ships of the Royal Australian Navy steam into the harbour of the famous British colony on the border of communist China. The imposing skyline of Hong Kong, dominated by the Peak, is a well-known and welcome sight for Australian sailors. For the 500 men in the two new anti-submarine frigates Yarra and Parramatta, this will be a highlight of the ship's first tour of duty with the British Commonwealth Strategic Reserve. As well as Yarra and Parramatta, the Australian flagship HMAS Melbourne is in Hong Kong. What sailor could resist this opportunity to have his own command? The duty-free city is a bargain hunter's delight, and the sailors are soon on a spending spree. This deal seems to create some excitement. A Hong Kong refugee settlement is the venue for a concert by the Australian Fleet Band from HMAS Melbourne. This is one of the most densely populated areas in the world, with 60,000 people living in an area of less than 3/4 of a mile. The Australian Navy concert is a rare treat for the refugees of Hong Kong. The Royal Australian Naval College at Jervis Bay. This is a day for spit and polish. It marks a milestone in the careers of 20 new officers for the Australian and New Zealand navies. They are the first midshipmen to complete the Navy's revised scientific age course at the college. The men who will command the missile and nuclear warships of tomorrow graduate from the Royal Australian Naval College. Southeast Asia is again the focal point for Navy cameras. This time, Japan. 2,500 Australian sailors in 5 RAN combat ships appreciate this traditional welcome. So does the Admiral, Rear Admiral Alan McNichol, and the flagship captain, Captain Smith. An expectant crowd at a Yokohama playing field, waiting for the visiting Australians to run out for the start of a rugby union match with a team from the Japanese Maritime Defence Force. A touch of Japanese ceremonial, and then all is ready for some friendly rivalry. The game is on. The sailors of two nations give it all they've got. And at this game, the hosts have the edge. Some sailors prefer sightseeing, and what sailors wouldn't with two Japanese beauty queens as their guides? This visit is to the shrine at the historic town of Kamakura near Tokyo. The temple was established in 1191, and the nearby Great Buddha has stood for 7 centuries. There is a spontaneous welcome for the Australian sailors wherever they go during the Royal Australian Navy's biggest fleet visit to Japan. anti-submarine frigate HMAS Queenborough arrives at remote Christmas Island in the Indian Ocean. This is an historic visit and an occasion for some excitement among the younger members of the community. It's the first call by an Australian warship since the island, originally claimed for the Crown in 1888, became an Australian territory 3.5 years ago. A packed program of sport and parties make Queenborough's one-day visit to the Phosphate Island a memorable as well as historic occasion. The 120 officers and men of Queenborough will not forget the hospitality of the 3,000 people of Christmas Island. Ships of the combat fleet head for home after steaming some 20,000 miles in Southeast Asia. A light-hearted salute from a Navy pilot as HMAS Melbourne's 2 squadrons prepare to fly off to their shore base at Nara, south of Sydney. And away they go for a well-deserved rest after countless sorties from the flagship. With her aircraft disembarked, HMAS Melbourne returns to Sydney after an absence of 5 months. For all the attractions of Hong Kong and Tokyo, there's still no place like home. This is the moment they've been waiting for, and it would take a lot more than early morning fog to dampen their spirits. A fond welcome awaits these men of the Royal Australian Navy, home from the sea.